Hello, you are welcome to Classic Fashion Design Academy YouTube channel. I'm Kehinde Oluwabukola Ogundare. In this video, I'm going to show you how to cut out your circles and use it to bring it out a circular skirt or handkerchief skirt. Now, circles are creative elements in fashion designing that can help you as a designer to add details to whatever fashion piece you are making. Now, when you cut out your circles, you can use it in a different creative way in order to bring out a beautiful design. Like, you can attach a circle to a main garment to make the main sleeve. You know, a circle, you can use circle to create the sleeve of a garment. It can be around the neck as a cape. You can make a fitted skirt from up to down to the knee, and you now attach a circle, you know, at the hem of the fitted skirt. You know, like this. Now you can even make a fitted gown and attach circle, you know, to complete the length of a dress. You can use circle in different order. Even a circle can be the main garment from the neckline down to the floor length. The circle can be a main garment. The circular, you know, a circle can be the main skirt. A circle can be the main sleeve. You can also arrange circle in a serial order to form a layer in order to create a design, either as a sleeve, also as a main garment, or even as a skirt. So there is no end to way in which you can use circle to create design. It can be a flounce to a main garment. It can also be a frill on a main garment. So there is no end to the ways you can use circle. You just have to be creative with it as a designer. It can be a frills around the neck. It can be a frills to the hem of a garment. And to bring out circle, you can use different fabric. All manner of fabric can go as well to create, you know, to cut out a circle. The only thing is that depending on the fullness you want and the length you want, because we have different fabrics of different lengths. Like there are some fabrics from one selvage end to the other that comes in by 45 inches, like Ankara. There are some that 60 inches. Most vintage materials, chiffon, crepe, and duchess, satin, and the rest comes in by 60. There are some that comes by 90. The longer they are from one selvage end to the other gives you room to come up with whatever length of circle that you want. But when you are working with fabrics like Ankara, you need to know that you are going to have a joining in some parts in order to make the full circle length that you want. But if you are cutting out a circle, you must understand how to add up your joining in such a way that will not distort your design, because different lengths of fabrics determines how well you can bring out your circle. So that is that. Now, in order to bring out your circle, there are some circular terms that you need to know. This is a circle. Bringing out your circle as to create a design, it must come out as a perfect circle. I'm not talking of a line that after cutting, you discover that, you know, it's split into two already. I mean, you have a slit already. No, I'm talking of a perfect circle, a complete circle like this. That's what I want to explain in this video. For you to understand the circle, you know, there is a circle will always have a center point. So that is the midline, the midpoint of a circle. Please, I'm going to use these illustrations to help you to bring out to bring out a circle on our fabric very soon. So you need to give attention to all these terms. This is circle center, the midpoint of the circle. There's no way you can cut out a circle with your fabric if you don't understand the midpoint of your circle. So understand that every circle has a midpoint. And then another word is radius. For you to bring out your circle from the center point, from this center point, just as I have here too, from this center point, you take a distance from the center point to the edge of the circle. That is called your radius. That's distance from circle center to the circle edge. That is your radius. So you should understand the midpoint of a circle and you should understand the radius. From the center point, that is from the midpoint of the circle, if you take a distance from this point, from the center point, the distance can be from to any part of the circle as far as is getting down to the edge of the circle is your radius. So the distance from circle point to the circle edge is known as your radius. You cannot cut out a circle without understanding what your radius is. Then another word that I want you to take note is cutting a circle. Before you can bring out your circle practically on your fabric, you must understand that you have to cut out the circle. Your fabric must be folded into 4. That is what cutting a circle is. Now, the fullness of the circle you are cutting depends on the number of cutters that you have. For example, you can have 2 cutters. That is 180-degree circle. That is half cutter. You can also have 4 cutters. That is a perfect circle, which is 360. You know, 180-degree circle is not as full as 360. 180 is 2 cutters. 360 is 4 cutters. Then the next one you can also have is 720 degrees, which is 8 cutters. So the number of cutters you have determines the fullness of the cutter the fullness of the circle you are going to cut out. For example, if I want my circle to be full, if I want it to have this small gaping, you can see this, you can see it. This is a double circle. This is a double circle. That is 8 cutters, which is 720 degrees. I think that is full enough to work with as a beginner. Like I said, you can have 2 cutters, which is 180 degrees. You can have 4 cutters, which is 360 degrees. And you can have twice this, which is 8 cutters, equivalent to 720 degrees. So for you to understand how to cut out in various fullness, please I want you to give detailed attention to this class. Now, I want to work specifically on 360 degree and 720 degree, which is 4 cutters and 8 cutters. Now, for clarity purpose, I want you to give attention to this. Before you can create a design with your circle, you must understand that there is always a circle in a circle. The smaller circle is representing the circumference of whatever you are working with to which you want to attach the main circle. For example, if you want to cut out a circular skirt, it's coming out as a perfect circle like this, one. Then secondly, it must have an inner circle. This is the inner circle, as you can see. That inner circle is what is representing the circumference, which is also the same as the waist measurement if it's going to be a skirt. Now, if you want the circle to be around the neck circumference as a cape, then the neck becomes the circumference that you are going to take the measurement in order to bring out the circle. If you are attaching this to the hemline of a skirt to give it fullness or to increase the length, this is what is going to represent the circumference. Anywhere you are attaching the circle to, the inner circle is representing the circumference of that part. You cannot attach a circle to a garment without understanding the circumference that is existing on the main garment before you attach a circle to it. So when you take the measurement of whatever part that you want to attach the circle to, it can even be your armhole. You know, around the armhole, if you want to attach circle as a sleeve to a main garment, anywhere you are attaching the circle to is the circumference to which the circumference to which you want to join the circle. So the inner circle, as you are looking at it, this inner edge is representing the seam line to which you are going to join the circle to on the main garment. Now, please, I want you to also understand that the distance from the inner circle, to the outer edge of the outer circle is also representing the length of the circle you are attaching to the main garment. For example, if I'm working on a skirt length of 30 inches and I have got 15 inches at the upper part, then it remains that the remaining 10 inches is going to be the length of the circle, that is from the inner edge to the outer edge. If I'm attaching a circle to a sleeve, if, for example, the length of my sleeve is 15 inches, maybe I've got it fitted here to 10 inches, then the remaining length is 5 inches. That is going to represent the length of the circle that I am adding to the main sleeve. So the distance from the inner edge to the outer edge is the length of whatever circle you are cutting. So the outer edge now is representing the hemline. As you can see, this is the hemline. The outer edge of the outer circle is representing the hemline. Please, I hope you understand that. Now, all that I have explained, I want to demonstrate a practical example of it on the board before I bring it out on the main garment. Now, with this illustration, I want to work with a skirt length of 50. Before you can bring out your circle, let me just give this as an example. Let's assume I want to make a circular skirt of length 58 cm. Please, I'm working with cm. The length of the skirt I'm working with is 58 cm. And the waist measurement, which is representing the circumference, the waist circumference is 74 cm. Now, I have known my circumference. If it's a skirt now, the same applies to whatever area you are attaching the circle to. It's still the same principle. Wherever you are attaching the circle to, it's still the same principle. So I just want to use making a circular skirt to demonstrate it now. Now, the waist of the skirt is 74 cm. Which is representing the waist circumference. Anywhere you are attaching the circle to, just measure it. If it's the armhole, measure it. Anywhere you want to attach circle to, just measure it. That is the circumference. So I'm working with 74 cm. Now, the length, determine the length, whatever length you want, the circle you want to attach, whatever length you want it to be, determine it. So I'm working with length 58 cm. Now, to understand how to bring out your circle perfectly, you must know the circumference and you must know the length. That too is key. Now, it remains one other third element that you must know, which is the radius. But in most cases, we don't know the radius. But you can determine your circumference, you can determine the length, but you don't know the radius. The radius is from the center point to the outer edge of the circle at equidistance that will be equivalent to the circumference that you have. Now, for you to determine the radius, from this point now, let's assume that this is the inner circle here. From this center point, from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, from here to here is the same distance. By the time I carve out the circle, it must amount to 74 cm. But what is the radius? That radius is what I don't know. How do I determine the radius? Now, this is what you do. Once you have known your circumference, it is easy to know your radius. So what you will do is to divide your circumference by 2.68. That is the formula. In whatever situation that you need a circle, just determine the circumference and determine the length. Then it's easy for you to know the radius that will be equivalent to the circumference you have. So what you will do is to divide to arrive at your radius, you will divide your circumference by 6.28. That 6.28 is constant in all situations. It's constant in whenever you need a circle. Once you have known your circumference, just divide it by 6.28. Now, in this case, the circumference is 74 cm divided by 6.28. What I have is 11.78. So that is the radius. I've arrived at the radius by dividing my circumference by 6.28. So whatever circumference you have on whatever fashion project you are working on, just divide it by 6.28 in cm. Please note that is in cm. I'm working in cm. If you want to work with inches, then you will get the equivalent of 6.28 in inches. But I'm working in cm here. So now, when you divide your circumference by 6.28, whatever it gives you in your own measurement, that is what the radius you are going to work with. But for the purpose of this class, the radius for circumference 74 cm is 11.78. Now, you know, this 11.78 is the radius I'm going to use to arrive at my circumference. Now, I want to show you practically how to do it. Now, on this surface, from this angle, from this space, I want to show you, this is from this line to this line, this square line you are looking at. That is what I want to use to demonstrate how to bring out my circle. Now, this point at this angle is representing my center point, which is the mid of my circle. Like I said before you can bring out your circle, understand that, have a vision that, you know, just imagine to have circle in a quarter. Your fabric, you are going to fold it into 4. I will do a practical demonstration of that very soon. Now, just imagine that you fold your fabric into 4. That is what I'm having here. Before you can practically bring out your circle, just imagine that you quarter it, you divide it into 4. So that is what I'm having here. It's not easy to bring out a circle on a flat space like this on the fabric. So what you do is to quarter it. You fold your fabric into 4. So that is what I've demonstrated here. Now, this is my center point. From my center point, I have determined my radius. My radius is 11.78. Now, let me quickly explain this. This 11.78, I choose to take away like 1 cm from it. Why I want to do that is because when you are cutting out a circle, you are cutting on bias. You are cutting off the grain line. That has a tendency of increasing the circumference. That is why I don't advise that you use all. When you have divided your circumference, by 6.28, whatever you have, if you are working in inches, you can reduce it by half. If you are working in cm, you can reduce it by 1 cm. Because if you use the all, once you cut on circle, you are cutting on bias. You are cutting off the grain line. There is no way you won't have excess. Even the elasticity of your fabric is another thing. When you are cutting on material that is highly stretchy, you can take more than 1 cm, because once you cut off the inner circle, it has tendency of increasing your circumference. That is why you reduce it a bit. So with what I'm working on now, this is 11.78. You know, if I approximate this, I may have almost 12 cm, but I don't need this 7.8. Even the 11 cm, I'm taking away 1 cm. I'm taking away 1 cm from the 11 cm. So I want to work with 10 cm. So I'm working with 10 cm. So 10 cm is my radius. 10 10 cm is my radius and the length of my skirt is 58. I can add the two together. My radius is 10 cm and the length of the skirt is 58 cm. Let's add the two together, that is 68 cm. So that is the length from this point, from my center point to down here. I want to work with 68 cm. That is the addition of my radius to the length of the skirt. The two is 68 cm. So once you determine your radius, just add it to the length of whatever of the circle you want. The addition of the two is what will determine what you will fold your fabric. So my fabric should be at the length of the fabric that I need now will be the addition of the radius and the length. For me is 68 cm. So from my center point, from here to here, I'm going to mark 68 cm. From here to here, I'm going to mark 68 cm. From here, from my center point again, 68 cm. From here, 68 cm. From here, until I get my perfect circle. So once I have done that, I can now connect my points. Make sure you have a perfect line. So now that is it. You know, from the midpoint down to this end, down to the edge, this is the outer edge. This is the outer edge of the outer circle, a quarter of that. Now, you know, we added the radius to the length for us to use the 68 cm. Now, that's the outer circle. Now, to get the inner circle is going to be the length of the radius, which is 10 cm. So you go back again from the center point 10 cm, from the center point 10 cm, 10 cm, exactly what you did here. You do the same. That's 10 cm. Then you connect that. Please make sure that you have a perfect line. Make sure because it's going to affect the outcome if your line is not perfect. So you discover that from the midpoint, from the center midpoint down to here is 10 cm. From the center midpoint down to the edge of the outer circle is 68 cm. But meanwhile, the main length we need is 58. By the time you cut this off, by the time you take off the 10 cm from here to here, you will now have your 58 cm. So the radius is going out. By the time you cut this part off, which is representing the inner circle, by the time you cut this off, you will be left from this point to this point. That is the length of the circle. That's the length of your circle. That's the length of your circle. This is going off. This is going off. The radius is going off. Sorry. So you can see that the radius is going off. You will now be left with this. Now that is what will give you your circular skirt. That is what will give you your circular skirt. Now, if you want to achieve handkerchief skirt, still working on the same template, let me just draw back my radius. So for better understanding. Now, you take a diagonal line. Look at it. You take a diagonal line. I want to complete the line. You take a diagonal, you know, this hemline is for the circular skirt, but you take the diagonal line from the center down. You know, this is the surface we are working on. Now, to connect a handkerchief skirt, you know, it's a skirt that is coming out as a square. So what you are going to do now, from this diagonal line, this is the length for the circular skirt. You now want to take the hemline for the handkerchief skirt. This is what you will just do. You will connect from this point from this point and this point down to the diagonal line. So what you will do, you know, this is the length of the circular skirt. Just connect it to this diagonal line. Do the same on the other side. So if this is, sorry, if you are working with handkerchief, if you are making an handkerchief skirt, this will be your hemline. This will be your hemline for the handkerchief skirt. This is your hemline for the circular skirt. So this is circular skirt from here to here. This is handkerchief. Handkerchief is coming out as a square. So this is handkerchief. This is circular. I hope you understand that. Now, all that I've taught on the board, I want to do a quick summary, a practical example on the fabric. Now, this fabric I want to use to cut the circle is about 1.5 yards, and from one selvage end to the other is 60 inches. Like I said, that there are some fabric that may not be up to 60 inches, like Ankara. Ankara is 45 thereabouts. And there are some fabrics that may be up to by 90, but this is by 60. Now, to cut a circular skirt in smaller size that will not have joining, is easier to work with by 60. Like you want to cut waist 28, waist 30, you can still manage by 60, though the length also matters. But if you are cutting for waist 30 upward, and especially in a longer length, it will definitely have joining. But I will show you in this video how to stylishly cut and join that will not distort your design. Now, this is how you fold. You fold from selvage end to the other, and this way. You will see that this has cut the fabric already. This is how you fold into 4 when you want to bring out your circle. Now, even if you have 5 yards, 3 yards, 6 yards, whatever yardage you have, at least to cut a circle, you need minimum of 2 yards. So when you fold it into 4 the way we did, you know, just make sure that you are folding, bearing in mind the length of your radius and you add the radius and the length of whatever you want. You add the two together. In this example, we have 10 cm as our radius and then 58 cm as the length. That's 68 cm. So you must make sure that what you fold is up to 68. So whatever fashion project you are working on, make sure that the radius and the length is the addition of the two is what will determine your fold. So whatever be the yardage of the material, whatever be the length, just bear in mind that you need the addition of the length and the radius to determine your fold. So what we are working with now is 68 cm. So now I take my tape and measure my 68 cm. So this is almost exactly 68 cm for me. It's almost exactly 68 cm. So if my fabric is more than this, if it's 2 yards, 3 yards, this is 1.5 yards. If it's more than that, you will adjust it to the exact length you want. You don't, or else you will cut your fabric into pieces unnecessarily. So this is exactly 68 cm. So when you measure to the exact length you want, make sure that it's intact. Make sure that you fold it perfectly, that you don't have unnecessary bulge in one part than the other. When you have done that, shake it very well, then place it on the cutting table. You adjust it very well. Make sure that you adjust in order to avoid all irregularities. Now this is my 68 cm. That is the addition of the length and the radius. So I hold the tip. This is the point. This is my center point. This is the very tip, the tip of the fold. The tip of the fold into cutter. That's my center point. And I'm taking my tape from that edge. You know, I said I have fold into the length that I want, and that is even the actual length of the fabric. That's 68 cm. 68 cm. Make sure that you align your fabric properly. Make sure that it's very smooth, no bulge at any point. Then you mark the 68 along. That's the 68 cm. Make sure you use the other hand to hold the tape at the center point, and don't let it shift away from the center point. Just go ahead and keep marking the length you are working with. That's the length I'm working with. That is the length I'm working with, 68 cm. So from here now, I hope you can see my point. I'm going to connect. So I will connect carefully so that I can have a perfect circle. Make sure you connect well to have a perfect circle. So that's my hem line. Now I want to also measure my radius, the 10 cm. This is the radius, 10 cm, which is equivalent 4 inches. Please make sure that your tape rule does not shift away from the center point. And always make sure that your radius align. Make sure it's exactly the same. So I connect my radius. So this is representing my inner circle. From here to here is my length. That is the 58 inches. Sorry. So that's my 58 cm rather. So from here to here the length is 58 cm. From here to here the length is 10 for the radius. This is my outer circle. This is my inner circle, this is my outer circle, and this is my circle edge of the outer circle, which is also representing my hemline. So this is my circular skirt. You can see that it's quarter. You can see it. Now, if it's handkerchief that I want to bring out, like I said, you are going to have a diagonal line from the center point to this edge. So just make sure that you get your fold. So that's my diagonal line. Now this the length that I'm working with. This is the length that I'm working with. I want to take it straight down from there. I do the same at the other side. Please make sure that you keep it as straight as possible. This is not straight enough. So you can see this is my handkerchief. This length is optional. If you want it longer, you can still take it longer, but I choose to work with the main length, with this 58. I just connect it to the diagonal line. So this is the handkerchief. This is my circular skirt. If I take off my radius, I've taken off my radius. So let me just pin this. Let me pin this down. You can see that I'm having a perfect circle. I will be the one to slit through. If I want to give it a zipper, I will be the one to slit it. When you cut on cutter, you have a perfect circle. Now, if I place this back, if I want handkerchief, I cut along this line. If I'm making an handkerchief skirt, I cut along this line. That's the handkerchief skirt. You can see it. That's for the handkerchief. This point, I'm going to have like 4. On a quarter circle, you have 4. That is on 360. But if you do double circle, you are going to have like 8. Now, that is handkerchief. And if I want it to remain a circular skirt, I take it back and cut around the circle. Sorry, I have to do it so that I have to show you so that you have a better understanding of what the outcome will be. And that's why I use a thicker fabric. If I use a light material, it won't be easy distorting it like that. So I have to align all my points back before I cut out the circle. I must make sure that the material is smooth before I cut. So now if it's a circular skirt, I go ahead again and cut out my circle. This is the circular skirt. You can see it. That's the hemline. You can actually be creative with the hemline of your circle. It can be high-low, it can be handkerchief. The hemline may not always be even. It can be an uneven hemline. That is why I show you handkerchief, and I'm now showing you the circular hemline. It can also be high-low. You can be creative with it, giving it different hemline shapes. So this is the perfect circle. Now, when you have the circle like that, you can notch it at various cutter. You can notch it at various cutter. Then at any of the cutter, you can slit it through. You can slit it through at any of the cutter. So it's when you cut it through, you can see. Can you see? So each time you cut on circle or on bias, you will always have excess. You can see I still have like an inch excess, despite the fact that I reduce it by 1 cm. So that's why I don't always bother to add zipper allowance. You may not always need it. You can see that I'm having like an inch already for my zipper allowance. There's hardly any fabric that you cut on bias that will not give you excess. So that's why I reduce it. You know, when we got the radius, I take off 1 cm from it. So that, you know, if this fabric is stretchy, you will still have more. But this is really manageable, which is good. And at the same time, I don't like adding hem allowance, because you will definitely have enough, but that is optional. If you want it to have hem allowance, you can still add 1 cm to your radius and the main length, but I did not. You can see the length is still okay, and I still have at least like 3 cm or more for the zipper allowance. So that is how to bring. This is a 360, that is 4 quarter.